Cannot think of a better way to start out on a Monday than with some Steely Dan. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Happy Prosperity Day on this beautiful winter's day. And winter is here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's all cool. Hey, in 180 days, yeah, it's going to be hot. Yeah. So welcome everyone. Hello everyone in the chat room. Nina, how you doing, darling? Pen Greedy, hi. Hi, Annie. Good to see you off the hook. What's up, Lori? Hello. So, folks, what's going on today? Doug, how you doing? Oh man, perfect day. It's like my third cup of hot tea. Mm, mm, mm. So anyway, I hope you had a good weekend. Had a fabulous weekend. I cut 2/3 of a cord of wood yesterday. Hmm. Oh yeah. Be feeling it, baby. Hey, DC, what's up? Good to see you, CJ. 4 o'clock in the morning. What the heck are you thinking? Hey, love you, brother. Hey, Lo, go, goes right back at you, brother. Um, Appreciate you. And Rick, good to see you. Yeah, we are soul trippers. Miriam, what's up, Bonnie? Hey, Stephanie, hello. Good to see ya. Yeah, great to see you live. Doug says freezing rain sucks. I mean, I'd rather have 3 feet of snow than a half inch of ice, you know? Mm-mm-mm. Don't dig the ice. John, how are you doing? Uh, so she made the transition. She's on the voyage. Well, we speak her peace, John, and the next part of her existence is underway. We'll all reach that doorway. You know, humanity lives perpetually on the precipice of this other thing we call the other side, death, spirit realm. It's complex. It's not simple. But what is, right? So, brother, we appreciate you and thank you, John. Um, Again, uh, sending is what was your term? The significant other? I believe that. Well, wherever she is in a good place. We send her favor and we bring the memories. So there you go. Melissa, how you doing? Good to see you, Michelle. Hello, everybody. Is everyone coming on in? Well, thank you. Mike, how good to see you. Pearl Jones, how you been, darling? Good to see you. Know thyself. Hello. Good to man. A lot of great, a lot of people I don't typically see here. So anyway, the Earth core stopped. We don't know if it's retrograding, weird stuff. That's going to cause some strange stuff. Seems like now our solar system is in the center of this bubble. And I mean, we're like right, according to what NASA says, believe what you will. But they say that our solar system is in the middle of this bubble. Yeah. Have no idea what that means. I know they theorize how it was caused by other stars going nova, etc. But who knows? Um, Again, thank you, birthday girl. And Joshua, I'm going to read the letter from Source tomorrow. So, Joshua, we love you, man. I appreciate you, and thank you for, you know, connecting again. You're going to love this letter. I mean, folks, it's really cool. Hey, Lady Ellie, good to see you. Lost in Space. What's up? Hello, Grace. Bog, Kathy, good to see you as well. Chris, what's up? So, um, so many good things. Here's a question. Can a spirit, a non-corporeal being, physically kill a temporal being, human? I guess you could say anything in this temporal realm. What say y'all? Because it's interesting. We're going to just take a little stop here at the rest stop, and we'll get back on with the book from Christopher, and we're going to kind of introduce into his other book, which, yeah, gives you a pause to cause. So I thought today we would discuss, because if we're spirits, and if you do any type of paranormal in research investigation, I do. And really the reason for myself is to answer some basic questions. You know, if the other side exists and we make it there, what is it? Do spirits, are they held by their grave? I don't understand why people, the paranormal, go into graveyards. I mean, if that's the case, that a person is held to this earth realm because they're buried, I mean, screw ascension, because that's just freaking flew right out of the window. Apparently, that ain't the case. Because, a cemetery should be, of all places, probably like the void. Why would there be any spirit activity? Why would there be a ghost? Now, people say, well, it's residual energy. Really? Hmm. So, this residual energy, what is it, self perpetuating? I mean, the whole thing. You think about it. But nevertheless, there seems to be evidence that does, in fact, support the hypothesis, the theory, the thought that somehow humans are stuck. It doesn't matter what your age is either. Apparently, when you make it over, apparently you stay the kind of the same age. I don't know how that works, but okay. I have a lot of people who send me, and I appreciate it, all of it. Don't have time to go through them all, but people who say, well, this person has the answers, the exact answers you look. Folks, many times when I ask the questions, they're rhetorical. But I appreciate it. And of all the different channels out there, and people who say they know the answer and have that answer, I listen and I say, that's cool. I mean, in the end, it's their answer. It's not mine. Doesn't really matter what they try to show in history. Doesn't have to be mine. I mean, I told a person here recently, they were all holding up the Bible and everything. And I said, how gullible are you? Oh, they got offended. This is the word of God. It's the authentic, unquestionable word of God. Ineffable. And I said, did you meet any of these authors? No, but they exist. I said, how do you know? How do you know? You're disbelieving the rhetoric that someone told you that that was real, and someone told them that it was real. And I said, I was right there with you. So I said, how do you know? Well, I feel it in my heart. It speaks to me. And I said, so you're channeling? No, 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 no. I'm being reverenced to God. I said, no, you're channeling. I said, if you're telling me that you're a spirit being and you're speaking to another spirit, whether it's high, low, doesn't really matter. I said, well, the only way that that works is that there has to be a channel opened. Now, you can call it telepathy, but it's really channeling. Whose thoughts are you really hearing? Oh, man, I didn't like it. So the thing today is, have we been doubled crossed? Meaning tricked, conned. Mm-hmm. Scammed. Because if you take the word for its literal meaning, because if you find how the word means, double cross means to be betrayed, deceived. Now, it's interesting because we use the term doubled cross. Well, if a cross symbol was used as the slide for this show is that it was used because people were ignorant. Like most people graduating high school and college today, very few of them can write. Did you know that? High schoolers graduating today in public school systems are not taught cursive writing. They can't read it. It's foreign to them. They can barely print. And so we're reverting fastly back to that point because now all you have to do is give your digital signature, right? So the premise is that, when you signed a contract because you were ignorant, means you were easily manipulated. Yeah. So you would sign it with a cross, a T, not an X. It's folklore, but you would do it with a cross. And you could rescind the contract by signing a double cross, which would then null and void the contract. Now, I don't know. In my simple way that I am, and I look at things, I'm going, So if a cross means I've given my approval, but a double cross means I can devoid, null and void the entire agreement. Isn't that curious? Which leads me to the next part. And I love the comments. Everybody has their perceptions on that. I love that. Um, and you're right, Chris. It is a real thing. Being double crossed. I mean, whether you're in business, whether you're in a personal relationship, family, close friend, betrayal, deceived, conned. Mm-mm-mm. um, so here's a question, and I'll put it out there. I'll be curious to see what your feeling is. Can a spirit kill another physical being? If it can, that's just got all sorts of implications attached to it. I mean, because we're going to get into this. So, taking that as the footing to the foundation that we're going to be talking about, and here is the deal. Do you know that there are the odds more favor this than don't? So the odds are you and I, we are in a place called hell. And the reason why human life is so short, because typically the sentence in hell is usually sometimes very short-lived. Now, there seems to be violations that you can incur while serving out the sentence, hear me out, which would then add to your requirement to come back in. Now, using hell as a premise, is it necessarily negative? We've had a dominant power of thought that has injected into us all that somehow hell is a negative place, and this other H place called heaven is someplace, some sort of utopia, paradise. But everything that we have found here, we've been double crossed. So the question is, hell, is it really hell? Now, hell has both beautiful parts and very ugly parts. So does heaven. if you study it out. And then the other question is, so wait a minute, wait a minute. If hell is used by the modern religions and governments, by the way, use the same tactic, is that, well, if you get sent to hell, it's punishment. Okay, follow the mind worm here. So then you just immediately establish, because no one likes pain. And apparently it's in this realm that where pain is really brought to life, so to speak. Because again, this place has the most beautiful aspect, but it also has the most grotesque. Um, and then I began to think, okay, I said, okay, all right, wait a minute. How many of you remember eighth grade PE? When you actually had to dress into the shorts, the gym shorts, y'all know what I mean, right? And then you had this thing that you had to do to get your semester grade. You had to pass this physical test, right? Which meant that for myself was, you had to climb that goddamn rope that went up like 40 freaking feet up in the air, right? And that was a real trip. But then you had to do the chin ups, the pull ups, and actually, PE was hell. Wasn't anything that, if you look in one aspect, that's fun about it. You know, I ran track. I always have loved running. Um, and because what I'm now understanding, it was my higher self coming in, or you can say my guardian angel. With runners, if you're a runner, you know what I mean. It's meditation, deep meditation. It's a unification of body, mind, and soul all working in tandem. Anyway, but and if you happen to be into sports, I mean, if you were like football, you still had to do this training, which was not fun. But yet, through all that punishment to the body, to the mind, you come out stronger. So is punishment really that negative thing? Because the thing about hell, if you take it in the standard context of what it's believed today, hell validates that there's an afterlife. And if someone tells you to go to hell, you should say, yeah, well, at least it's better than the nothingness. Because at least in hell, you retain your personality, good and bad. No? And then I thought, well, now wait a minute. Who would really follow me on this? Who would really be motivated to go through a place called hell, and endure the punishment, endure the test, endure the training? Only a god would do that. A goddess? Only a god. No one else would be strong enough. It'd be foolish for them even to attempt it. I mean, it's just another way of looking at it. I mean, I'm supposedly I have a consciousness, a brain, has the ability to think. And supposedly, in order for that to grow, I'm not to be so gullible. Challenge everything. Challenge and test all the spirits. Because you're a god. And if this is indeed hell, some people pass the test, and apparently some don't. But it doesn't seem to be eternal. Doesn't seem to be forever. Even if you follow the religious narrative, hell goes away. I doubt that, but anyway. So it's just a thought. Because the question that I ask all spirits, to what end? What's your purpose? Are you that fucking bored that you got to come here because I commanded you, that I somehow, bound you, released you, you know, conjured you? What's your purpose here? Because if that's true, well, it doesn't seem like the ascension thing really plays out, does it? I mean, if you got some spirit that likes to haunt, I mean, listen, some of the stuff that comes out of Indonesia and in the Middle East with the jinn, I mean, they're a group of beings. It's it would be something to question them, but I got a sense they're not the type you would really want to have at dinner. All right, what's that about? It would give the indication that Earth, or this place called hell, has many different aspects to it. And it's short-lived, folks. I mean, this is the death realm. I'm finding more and more papers, academic papers, coming to that same conclusion. This can't be life. Yeah, we it's amazing because when it comes in a moment of survival, how much you'll fight to stay here. Well, if this is hell, then, it's got some aspects to it that, hey, I have to admit, ain't bad. I ain't got no problem with it. Well, seem to be really cool. I mean, there's other parts that, I wouldn't say that quite understand it, but hey, they're here on their trip. So, believe it or not, allow me, if I can, because I have several books. So, I'm going to throw a curveball here. Then we're going to get back into this. So, I came across this, and it's it. What? Of course, I'm already here, dude. Got to hit that button. Oh, really? Yeah, it's that button. This button? Yeah, that button. Well, some bitch, you're right. Yeah, I told you. All right, so this Earth, there is, people, and they're scientific. These are academics. These are intellectuals that are convinced that no matter what you show them from a satellite, anything, that it's an illusion. And here's one I came across, and I thought that this was interesting. The Earth isn't flat, but much bigger than we've been told. So, Gigantica, Earth crater, two suns, two times. That seems like total bullshit on the top, right? It's like, oh, come on, this crap again? But, but, I was once told by a teacher that, if you got to put your butt in the middle of a sentence, maybe you ought to start the sentence over. But anyway, so, and this is a very short paper. I think you're going to find it entertaining, maybe informative. I don't know. The impact resulted in the emergence of a giant crater. Apparently, we're like this freaking big, big freaking place that even what we call space is still part of it. Okay. Now, so this included two orbs or suns circulating in opposite directions. Now, we know that unless our satellite data and everything else is completely off whack, we know that there is only one sun. But then I began to think about it, and it's like, well, now wait a minute. What if that's only one perspective? Now we can see 360. They tell us we can. But anyway, let's follow out this one. It says the black sun in the dark zone, symbolized by the Nazis, is not located in the hollow earth, but it's the second sun in the outer radius around Earth. Okay, follow me on this one. This explains why two suns can be spotted. Now, if you follow a lot of the Nibiru and the Planet X and what have you, I mean, there's pictures of people capturing two suns. I often thought it was weird, and um, is that so when I see the sun setting, it's rising at the same time. Think about that. I can see a setting sun, but it's actually a rising sun at the same time. Now, it's odd because how can that be? Now, I get the idea of the earth traveling. I get that. I get that. But still, it's the concept that I can be here in the central time zone. I can see the sun go down, but yet, apparently, if I catch up fast enough, it's actually rising. Weird. Um, so you've got this outer radius. They call it this time zone. There's two time zones. Now this is odd because I've seen this on people. I didn't really understand it, but I just thought they had some sort of this, fascination with a watch. But watch this. So this will explain why two suns can be spotted. Now, I have these pictures in my archive. You can't find them anymore, but this was down at the Antarctic base. I believe that this was, I don't know if it was the Scandinavians, but I have seen these pictures. I got them in my archives because there was a time there was some weird stuff going on down there. All right. And the existence of tides in the oceans. They tell us that the tides are done by the moon. You know, when the moon's really close, you have these super tides, right? High tides. Um, Now, the so-called moon landing was an expedition to the dark zone. Mm-hmm. Again, um, we'll just have to see. Uh, so there's been controversy the whole time with the Apollo program, particularly with some of the astronauts. And I mean, I had the privilege of meeting and talking, flying next to Gene Cernan for nearly 2.5 hours. Very interesting conversation. But Buzz Aldrin was the one that has really brought a whole different perspective to what's taking place. Um, Now, it's symbolized in many of the so-called symbols, sigils. We just are not trained in that particular language of understanding what we're seeing. All right, it says only the elite know of the two suns that rotate in the opposite direction. Wearing two watches is their inside dress code. And folks, go back and you start seeing this happening. People wearing two watches. Elite. General Schwarzenegger. I mean, now, in my rationale, I could see why he'd be wearing two watches. I mean, probably one that was in, Iraq and what was back in DC. But it certainly doesn't explain why you see this. Buzz Aldrin was one. This is Gaddafi. What the hell is that about? It says the inner circle of the Earth crater was simply folded inwards into a ball via Antarctica. As a result, the outer zone remained invisible to the masses. And Buzz Aldrin, I mean, supposedly he was up there on the first mission. Okay. We got ancient maps that depict this same type of concept. Now, they get into a lot of theory and what have you. I'm not here to do this. Different aspects of physics, astrophysics, etc. You know, I can let that be. Now, here are some historical facts that became very clear. You can see in these maps, we've studied this one, looked at this one. This one shows the firmament being an actual physical place. Maybe it's where the dragons live. Again, here's the foolscap map of the world. It is thought to be Flemish in origin, possibly the Antwerp dated about 1590. That was an interesting period for our species. The Mayan calendar would back this up. The clock and the clock principle. The legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table was clearly no legend. Too many details are known. You know, if they really did live, how freaking cool would that have been? To me, when I always look at these characters in history, I try to think about, well, what were they like inside? Not what the story wants to make the personification to be. I mean, did he like chicken? How did he like it cooked? I mean, back then you didn't, preservation of food was a, tricky thing. I don't know. I mean, what they do in their spare time? There's just 1,001 questions. This is the names of all the members, and I won't get into all that. The table was first described in 1155 by Weiss, who relied on previous depictions of Arthur's fabulous routine. The symbolism of the round table developed over time. By the 12th century, it had come to represent the chivalric order associated with Arthur's court and the Knights of the Round Table. Again, the Knights Templar, here we go with them. They apparently knew this. The Roslin or the Rose Line, again, the Knights Templar of the Round Table were no legend. They have just gone undercover to safeguard their secret. Each of the 1224 knights was assigned a sector. Goes on to talk about their bloodlines have become the ruling families we know until today, the elite of which many high-level positions in politics, banking, and the movie industry, especially Hollywood. Just a few examples: Michael Douglas, Hilary Duff are both related to King Edward III. Tom Hanks, Glenn Close, Sissy Spacek can be traced their ancestors back to King John of England. Johnny Depp, Brooke Shields are related to King Henry IV of France. Brad Pitt, Paris Hilton are related to King Henry II of England. Angelina Jolie related to King Philip II, and the list goes on. So, Charlie Chaplin apparently knew this as well. So, there we go. Thought you might enjoy that. I mean, it is definitely different. I don't know. I have flown a lot and certainly felt like we were moving, in this counterclockwise. I know that as a plane, you're constantly adjusting for the horizon. Otherwise, the plane would be flying right off into space. I mean, I've seen that. Again. So, let's get into the next one. So, let me get this. There is so much in going on, I have to say. So, this book is called The Location of Hell, is here on earth. Now, I don't have the PDF on this one. This is in my Kindle library, which now got to get all these downloaded to a separate disk. Anyway, so I thought that this would be interesting. So we get into the classical Christian doctrines about God and the universe. Religious doctrines deny that earth is the location of hell, and religious authorities have the final word on the subject. And in this, it was interesting. I was watching something and they were talking about what the Russians did. How the Russians had in Siberia drilled a hole that I guess it was nearly 8 miles down. They had to change drill bits even with the super hardened metal because they were melting. Um, but they stopped it apparently at the 8 mile mark thereabout, or so the story goes. Now, this is apparently have been fact checked, and the urban legend is that they lowered down an acoustic microphone that was designed for that. And you can go in and you can hear the recording, supposedly, of something that sounds hellish. Now, in my archives, I have what I recorded in an EVP when I lived in Colorado. And there was a really cool dude at the time who took the original audio file and he had his own studio and separated it out. Holy crap. I mean, I don't know what I captured, but didn't sound fun. So anyway, is hell really on earth? I mean, the idea that you get from Christianity is that, well, hell is the netherworld. It's down below. Heaven is above. I don't know. So hell, by the way, is not part of the creation story in Genesis. Hell is not part of as well. When God kicks Lucifer out of heaven, we know that here again, we're smart enough to know there is no freaking Lucifer. Never was. It was the trippy mind of St. Jerome. St. Jerome, the dude that was basically couldn't apparently work, was lazy, and said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate this. I've been called of God, and makes up this word. Little did he, well, I don't know, maybe you did know. Maybe he was a time traveler. Hell, I don't know. He's eating those mushrooms, man. I mean, it jacks with you. And so, now Lucifer, because today we don't know if it's Lucifer, is it Satan, is it the devil, who the hell is it is. All right. Says hell is a place where there is a lot of pain and suffering. Interesting coincidence, but life on earth is loaded with pain and suffering. It hurts like a mofo to come into this place. You can only survive birth once. And I talked to my wife about that because she worked in delivery for years, that how does the body endure that? It blows my mind when I think about it. Because you can't do any life in this planet and put it through the same pressure and contortions as physical birth brings and still live it. And we talked about C-sections, but anyway. Life forms were on this planet for billions of years before mankind appeared. We know that. So let's get into some of it. Lucifer, the devil, was the model of perfection. This is not correct. It's not what it says in Ezekiel. This has been changed because there was no Lucifer in the Hebrew thinking. But anyway, Lucifer was most perfect, most wise, most intelligent, most powerful, most knowledgeable being ever created. Well, I don't know. If I read that, again, it's misquoted. But if I read about this, if I'm just a young initiate about to give my life to Jesus Christ, and I'm going to be baptized so I can have my sins forgiven and live forever, I'm going to believe this shit. So if I read this, Lucifer was the most perfect. Most perfect? What does that mean? Are there varying degrees of perfectness? And if there are varying degrees of perfectness, how is that not imperfectness? Most wise says he's probably smarter than the creator. You know, Data did that. Star Trek Next Generations. Most intelligent, most powerful, most knowledgeable being ever created. Holy crap, Batman. I mean, we're talking, what are we talking? Says the problems that anybody writing a book on hell comes up with is there are different descriptions of hell by different religions and cultures, true. Most descriptions of hell typically lack detail, absolutely. We have Dante for that now. I mean, Dante was a gift to the perverts, like dictators, and I could really get off on that one, but I'm not, They loved it. Hell, that gave him more power. The fear of hell itself, what Dante did, made people pacifists. I ain't going down that road. Most descriptions of hell typically, again, like you read a lot about a lake of fire and being burned a lot, then being resurrected so the soul can be burned all over again. You're telling me the most fucking smartest person, the highest intelligent everything, this is the best they got? This is what they came up with. Many of the descriptions of hell are by professional literary writers with impressive imaginations. Dante's Divine Comedy. A Divine Comedy is likely the best example. It's polluted all of our thinking. The description and conception of hell lacks a respectable amount of scientifically documented evidence. But we're so gullible. Why? Because it's God, man. God ain't going to hurt us, but if you don't follow him, he's going to send you to this place. Now, he don't want to, but you left him no choice. There's no empirical evidence as to the exact location of hell, assuming it even exists. The best anybody can do is offer theories. This book postulates that hell could be a plane of reality in which all or perhaps only a minority of people reside. This theory can be broken into two schools of thought. One, only a limited number of people experience life in hell while on earth by their own making or otherwise. Or two, we have been misguided by religious authorities because earth is actually the location of hell itself, and we are living in it right now. That means you are reading this book right now while living in hell. Well, how? The hell, you say? You will eat your next meal in hell. Later, you will watch TV and surf the internet in hell. Hell of a gig, ain't it? This book primarily deals with the assertion number 2, that the hell thought to exist by so many cultures and religions is literally located here on earth, and we live and breathe within it every freaking day. Our lives are intricately woven around it, whether we realize it or not. Sacrosanct religious doctrines often tell us how hell is a lake of fire that souls are repeatedly thrown into, then resurrected themselves, only to be thrown back into the lake of fire. But maybe we've been wrongly convinced that hell is ridiculously extreme. Christianity is most often referenced in this book, not because of its superior religion to any other major religions, but because its conception of hell is better known in the Euro-American world, where this book was primarily been released. The ancient dualistic pre-Christian religion, Zoroastrianism, see major world religions toward the back of the book, which provide Judaism, Christianity, and Mithraism. Many ideas identifies Agra Mathru as the primary evil and destructive deity of the universe. He counted Ahura Mazda, the creator and source of all good in Zoroastrianism. There are other names used loosely to identify the devil by These include Lucifer, Satan, Wayne, DC, Deborah. Another is the Palestinian Beelzebub. Another is the Buddhism's Mara and the Muslims Ibis. Other names and descriptions of religious afterlife destinations exist. These include heaven, purgatory, paradise, Gehenna, Jerum, Jehannam, Lephesia, Sierra, Square, Hatmoth, Hades, Infernum, and Limbo. Limbo is not an official doctrine of the Catholic Church or any other Christian denomination. It is true that many consider the devil to be merely a metaphorical figure. He or she, it may be, but something is dishing out a lot of pain and suffering in hell. Decades and decades ago, I was in a relationship with a woman that I swear to God was Lucifer herself. That's where I learned about the devil. Anyway, I digress. And it's with much love and fondness. And it's true. Isn't it true that, you look back and those in past relationships that, no longer in? Yeah. Anyway, so if the devil is only the metaphorical figure, then who or what is dishing out all that pain and suffering in hell? Please note that one can still fully believe in God and be interested in this theory as scientifically proven details as to the location of hell simply do not exist. Anthropomorphism definition in regard to theology. The assumption that God has the same types or many of the same types of emotional, physical, and mental characteristics as being human. I never understood why God repented. He's God. Never understood why God was angry. Never understood why he was jealous, vengeful. Yet I was told that this is an all-loving deity. Anthropomorphism is often innate to the religious doctrine. Perhaps that should not be surprising, as one, it is people that write the religious passages, and two, readers can better relate to what they, as human beings, experience and understand. When I finally came to that realization that when I'm reading a book, I'm channeling someone else's thoughts. And for 50 years, I put myself into a book that I had no idea about. I thought I studied them, really didn't have a clue. But yet, I was taking this cat's word for it, that what he was writing is true. I mean, I never had a chance to cross-examine him. Well, you can't do that. You can't question the word of God. Why not? I believe it's in the book of Isaiah, if I am correct on this. I think it's Isaiah 54, maybe 52, that says, "Come, sit with me, and argue your case. Remind me of your works." That's what it says. So I took that decades ago as my license to argue everything. If I'm going to argue with God, I best have my poop together. You know what I'm talking about? Because if I don't have my poop together, my poop's going to get scattered. Along with the anthropomorphic view of God often comes the fear of God. And boy, I knew that. Lynn called God, the God that she left, she called him the whack-a-mole God, because that's what Southern Baptists do. My God, they're good with that shit. I mean, her whole thing was, you just didn't pop your head up. Because if you did, you're going to get whacked. And that's how they teach it. They start in Sunday school. Then they enforce it with vacation Bible school. Oh, yeah. So by the time you're a teenager, you're a freaking psycho mess. Not only do you have the hormones going on, your body changing, you got this raging battle in your head. Along with the view, God is a father figure, a strict leader who is to be respected and, when necessary, feared. Sounds like the mafia to me. This is the Godfather. How many of you remember and the movie called The Freshman? Matthew Broderick, Penelope Miller, and Marlon Brando, who played the satirical view of him as the Godfather. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You'll love it. Bruno Kirby's in there. But yeah. And I love what when Matthew Broderick Campbell was Clark was the talking to Brando, and he says, "Are you telling the truth?" And Brando says, "Every word I speak by definition is the truth." So there you go. God, after all, has immense power, but how is that power wielded? If a hurricane is heading our way, we pray to God to keep the hurricane from coming and ruining our home, even though that means that the hurricane will likely hit the ground at another location and ruin their people's home. That's fine. God spared my house. Sorry, sucks to be you. I mean, who is this God? You know? Jeez. Saw a video of a couple that were in a car and they got in a tornado, and literally the tornado threw them up. And so when she was about to die, or she thought she was about to die, her last words is, "Oh God, forgive me of my sins." I'm happy to report that she lived and she's still sinning. So God is good. Clearly, if God has the power to move a hurricane, he or she or it has tremendous power, and this is a power you want to be on the good side of. Like humans would be, hopefully, we would like to think God is watching things and is as concerned about things as us humans are. We, after all, in so many ways, relate to God as an incredibly powerful human who doesn't know how to shave, apparently doesn't know what a freaking pair of scissors is, apparently doesn't have any angel in there that knows how to cut hair. And why would this God look like Joe Biden? I mean, that just freaks my ass out. Why is this God, this old decrepit thing? I mean, if you're going to do it, Christ, be like Adonis, buff yourself out. I'm fucking God. Yeah. Okay. So let's briefly, I love this reading, briefly summarize the classical Christian doctrines about God and the universe. God has always existed and always will. And we know that God came from darkness. We know that light is artificial. And we know his life is artificial. Unless he copied life in the darkness, which then means we're all children of Satan, which we'll get back to that on Wednesday. Yeah. He has absolute knowledge of the past, present, and future, and lives in a place called heaven where he rules the universe. In heaven are many angels and the souls of good people that God has allowed to enter into its gates. Do you have the Willy Wonka ticket? Many years in the past, God created an angel named Lucifer. Bullshit. Excuse me. Lucifer was blessed with great beauty. His job was to guard God's throne. Lucifer was the second most powerful force in the universe. So I could go down a path that There's a proverb says, even a fool seems wise who keeps his mouth shut. Someone said, well, you're calling yourself a fool? I know when to keep my mouth shut. Lucifer, however, had higher ambitions. Hey, why not? You created him like yourself. What the heck do you think he was going to do? He had higher ambitions than just being second in command. Motivated by greed and a big ego, I don't know how you could have a bigger ego than God, this God of the Bible. That son of a bitch has got an ego that there ain't big enough in the creation for it. So, I mean, Lucifer, I mean, if he was truly created in this manner, we know he wasn't, but you can really see where he would give, oh God, a run for his money. Moriarty. That's what I'm thinking. Lucifer decided to reject the laws and tried a coup d'etat in heaven. He gathered a number of angels. They were out smoking and drinking and getting laid. And he said, hey, man, I can give you to this all the time. Just follow me. And they said, well, we really can't do that unless you got music. He says, I'm going to invent rock and roll. The rest of the story is history. Anyway, he gathered the angels and they tried to overthrow God, but were unsuccessful. God threw Lucifer out of heaven along with the other angels who supported. So did God do this? I mean, what did he do? Become like now we know the creature down in Miami was in fact I don't know, Nephilim? Is it part of an alien invasion? I don't know. But anyway, how did God do this? I mean, and then what were these mega supporters? Is this what we're thinking here? God decided to punish Lucifer and the fallen angels, so he created a lake of eternal fire to torment them and anyone else who in the future might choose to rebel. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, I feel like now I'm living in a Lethal Weapon 3 movie. I mean, what the hell is this? I mean, this is a sick mind. This is the best this mind can come with. So he creates this thing called fire using one of the elements now, right? Huh. I mean, well, when you weigh it out, listen, this is the same cat who said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. And if you don't, I'm going to send your ass over there. This is what he's saying. We all know this lake of fire as hell, Lucifer, whose name then changed to Satan. Actually, we know it was the other way around, but that's all right. We're just talking semantics here. And the other misguided angels would get cast into hell on the great judgment day, which has yet to come. That's still several thousand years down the road. Until that judgment day, Satan and presumably the other fallen angels are here on earth. Well, all right. I'm saying if they got a war with this God, don't bring it here to me. Come on, let's just sit down. Let's listen to some music. Let's chill out about this. Because obviously, y'all ain't doing any good up there. If this war is still going on, doesn't seem like anyone's... what does the art of war say? If you're equally strength, what do? You walk away. Because there ain't going to be a winner or a loser. God created man and placed him in the Garden of Eden, which means he made the Garden of Eden in the center of hell. God created much animal and plant life for the garden that didn't even have a son. I don't know how that happened. God gave the first two people he created, Adam and Eve. Well, now we're going to get back. What do you mean the first two? He only created one initially. Everything they could possibly want in life. But you know what happens if you give a person everything they ever want? You've got a psychopath on your hands. To be denied is not a bad thing. You might have to work harder for something, might have to stay a little more focused on something. But I'm telling you, this is where I look at the story and I'm going, of course they revolted. They got fucking bored or entitled. One of the two, I don't know. God gave Adam and Eve free choice to serve him or to reject him as their Lord. Well, you know, if you really do give free choice, then there's no consequence with either one. It's a free choice. Wow, where did the time go? Okay, I guess I'll pick this up later because we could really go on. And I hope you like this book. If you want it, go and buy it. It's a great read. And oh, there we go. There, I'm back. So anyway, I love this topic. I mean, you can't get tired of it. So many different points of view, so many perspectives. And I'm like us. I mean, to me, it's like we're at the Ghirardelli there in San Francisco in their big store right down there off Market Street. I love this stuff. Love chocolate. Lady Ellie's message was deleted by Joyce. Why? Is there something going on? Be sweet. Come on now. Well, I hope you found this stimulating thought, if anything. I mean, and we'll continue on. I mean, we've got enough of these books this week. It's just going to be great. Nina, it is interesting. Yeah. Preliminal says, I try to learn from everyone. That's what I try to do. I may not always agree, but hey, at least I learned something. Lost in Space, right back at you. I really do appreciate all of you. I love to meet every one of you one day and, hug you, shake your hand, you know, get to know all of us a little bit better. Joyce says, I never delete. I love you, Joyce. Hey, Chloe, what's up, girl? Hey, let's do this now. Right back at you. Brandon, thank you, brother. Pallet Brand. Miriam, I love the chat in here. Y'all are just all of you are the best. You know. So we'll pick this up tomorrow. Got Trina and Miss Jenny. Always a lively conversation with that. And as we continue to see, I really think I'd like to find out, are we really in the midst of an alien invasion? What is really going on? This is now the fourth city, and it's been quashed on the straight media. Mm-mm. We ain't getting into that story, they say. Mm-mm. But apparently some of the officers are now talking. So what's going on? Did they come from a different planet or did they come from a different part of the world, the Earth? I don't know. All right, Linda Espinoza, how are you, my dear? Good to see you. So, all right, folks, see y'all tomorrow. Hope this was fun. Hope it was, hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you subscribe, yada, yada, yada. You know how it is. But anyway, so until we meet again, yeah, have